Republicans are never going to let a good crisis of their own manufacture go to waste. And so they really want to give tax breaks to billionaires, and they really want to take away any government spending that goes to people like you and your family. And so, well, they did send in the military in LA. What if that was a justification for passing Trump's budget busting bill? It isn't, but what if it was? Wouldn't that be convenient? And so they're pretending now that they need to pass this bill because they're wasting money sending the Marines to LA or whatever. So Karoline Leavitt, first out the gate, says the riots in Los Angeles prove that we desperately need more immigration enforcement personnel and resources. Again, immigration enforcement is actually why we have the riots. Arguably, if we had less of it, we wouldn't have any situation, would we, Karoline Leavitt? She continues, America must reverse the invasion unleashed by Joe Biden of millions of unvetted illegal aliens into our country. Blah, 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 big, beautiful, blah, blah, blah. We're going to get rid of at least 1 million people. Again, they're not meeting those numbers. That's partly why they came into LA, to be clear. And we're gonna hire a whole bunch of people for ICE and customs officers and border patrol. So as we're firing people who manage Social Security, the CDC, all of that, we're firing all of them. We can get more law enforcement. That's the one thing that money goes towards in an authoritarian system. And so that's her. Speaker Mike Johnson is more direct with the link, says the lawlessness happening in LA is another reason why we need to pass the bill immediately. It provides the essential funding needed to secure our nation's border. Again, LA's not, what does he think the border is? Is he talking about the border between like, I don't know, Silver Lake and like, what are you talking about? That has literally nothing to do with it. But he wants to pass the bill. He wants to be done with it. He knows that the longer it's out there, the more people can dig into all the damage that it does in so many different ways. He just wants to be done. And look, it does spend on some of these things. It puts $46.5 billion into the border wall, which has not been talked about nearly enough. Remember when it was gonna cost $5 to $10 billion? Almost $50 billion for a stupid wall that doesn't even work. Okay, $4 billion for border patrol, $2 billion for signing and retention bonuses for agents, and they're gonna charge people for filing for asylum in the US, which typically when you flee like South America from violence or something, you've got a lot of cash on hand to pay for asylum claims. So anyway, $50 billion. Now, that's not a lot of the full bill. It's 2% of the tax cuts they're giving out, actually. So it seems weird that they're focusing so much on it, but it is objectively a lot of money to spend when they say they don't have money for food stamps and for Medicaid and all of these things that would benefit you. They can light it on fire at the border. They can always do that, Sharon. What do you think?
It's his go-to, and it's been successful for Donald Trump. His go-to is, whenever I'm accused of Epstein or anything else, just go back to the invasion. We're being invaded, MS-13 and the like, and he's gonna get what he wants. The problem, I think, in America, when you have people like Mike Johnson, the speaker, Kristi Noem, Karoline Leavitt, all of them, is the lack of public shaming. And I really mean that. We used to have some kind of thing in our system. You can't really legislate it. You can't make laws about it, but just public shaming. You go back to your community and you are either ostracized or confronted, and that's not happening. He's got enough people who have been indoctrinated. They're believers in the great big lie of this invasion instead of realizing, oh, that's how we eat. These are our friends. You know what you get? You don't charge people for wanting to seek asylum. You know what you get though in return? People who are grateful for the opportunity to be here. Yeah. They end up loving this country and appreciating it so much that they enrich us in ways you can't even imagine. It's sick.
Yeah, but I mean, like, what in American history would imply that immigrants make us better or stronger or wealthier? I mean, is there any evidence of that in the past couple hundred years? I don't know about that. Anyway, really fast before we move on to the Medicaid aspect of this, just to be clear what people think about this bill. So 60% think that it's gonna help the wealthy. 7% think it's gonna hurt the wealthy. 7% of America is huffing more paint than me. 26% think it's gonna help poor people. I feel bad for those poor people who think that. because it's not going to. But generally, they understand that this is to benefit the wealthy. They do. And overall, what they think about Donald Trump and his job approval, he is underwater on overall, very underwater on the economy, and dead even on immigration. And when you dig into the immigration stuff, I like narrowly, people still believe the lie that Chrissy No mentioned earlier in the show, that they're trying to get the worst of the worst. That narrowly wins over just any, like trying to deport anyone they can. It's pretty close. And considering how much anti-immigrant propaganda there is in America, I guess we should consider it a win. But we do have more work on that to do. Really fast before we move on to Medicaid, like the idea that they're going into LA to get the worst of the worst, like maybe there's a right winger in the chat. Have they mentioned a single murderer that they're going after? Like, we want to get this murder, but we can't. One? Have they mentioned one? You don't think that if they had a list of murderers and rapists and those sorts of things, they'd be naming names and showing faces or whatever? No. Again, day laborers, busboys, seamstresses. That's who they're going in to deport. That's what they're willing to set a city on fire for. That's what they're willing to spend hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars on.